You think silence is weakness, but it was silence that birthed the stars. It was silence that whispered the first command into the heart of the man who would build empires. And now, in the stillness of your despair, it is silence that has summoned me. You come to the edge, not the loud edge of anger, not the violent edge of action, the silent one, where nothing moves, where you wait for something to save you, but nothing does, where even your own voice no longer answers. You call it depression. I call it delay. You call it confusion. I call it the moment before the strike. Let me say it plain. This is not your end. This is your test. The gods have gone quiet not because they've abandoned you, but because they're watching who you become without their voice. And you were meant to speak fire into the silence. But you've been taught to whisper, taught to wait, taught to doubt the hunger that claws at your belly like a wild animal. You think your hunger's a problem. I tell you, it's the proof you're still alive. And more than alive, you are chosen. So why are you still kneeling? There are men building towers with less talent than you. There are men with dull minds and cowardly hearts commanding armies. Why? Because they moved, they struck, they acted when they weren't ready. And you waited for clarity. Let me cut that myth open with a sacred sword. Clarity does not come before movement. It is born through movement. Fire never explains itself before it burns. It proves itself in the ashes. And you have not yet burned. You've dimmed. You've flickered. You've hidden your flame behind logic, fear, and 1,000 sacred excuses. But today, right now, the silence has become unbearable because it's time to decide if you were born to wait or born to wield. Look at your life. What has waiting given you? A job you loathe. A body that forgets it is a temple. Dreams you only touch in your sleep. And fear God, so much fear, dressed in the costume of reason. But beneath it all, you still feel the spark. The ember buried under the debris. It's not dead. It's daring you to strike, to rise, to say not to the world, but to yourself, I'm still here, and I will not die like this. This moment, this silence, this stillness, this is the sacred chamber, the temple of decision, the invisible throne room where kings are crowned or abandoned. And if you think no one sees you, if you think no one hears you, if you think your story is too small, understand this. The universe listens hardest when the world is silent. It watches what you do alone. So do not pray for a sign. Be the sign. Do not beg for fire. Strike the match with your own hand. Let me ask you what no one dares to. What would happen if you stopped waiting? If today was not the beginning of another spiral, but the first strike, what would your life look like if you treated this silence as sacred? As the moment the boy died and the warrior breathed, you don't need another video. You don't need another book. You need warrior discipline in the face of invisible enemies. Fear, inaction, excuses, delay. They wear robes, they speak like scholars, they whisper like friends, but they are assassins. And every time you trust them, you kill your future. But here's what they don't want you to know. One decision made in silence can turn your whole life into fire. It doesn't need applause, it doesn't need permission, it doesn't even need belief. It just needs to begin. You don't have to believe in the entire mountain, you just need to place your hand on the stone. You don't have to feel strong. You just need to move while you're still afraid. Because this is not about courage. It's about command. This is not about hype. It's about heat. You were meant to reign, but reign begins in the dark. Before the throne, before the robe, before the army, there is always a silence, and inside it, one voice, yours. So speak it. I will not die waiting. I will not hand my destiny to fear. I strike now, even in silence, even in doubt, even if I shake, because the fire remembers my name and I am ready to burn. Now rise, the war has begun, and you are no longer asleep. You've been told to kill your desire, to tame it, to silence it, to be grateful for what little you have. But I've come to burn that lie. Because your desire, that aching, restless hunger in your chest, is not weakness. It is not selfish. It is not ungrateful. It is divine. Desire is how the soul calls itself back to life. You weren't born to be numb. You weren't born to survive quietly. You weren't born to pretend your needs don't matter. You were born with fire in your mouth. You were born with vision in your blood. You were born with a destiny that requires desire to awaken. Desire is the first messenger. It doesn't arrive clean. It arrives as ache. It arrives as a question you can't stop asking. It arrives as a dream you push down every morning just to function. But it keeps returning because it is not a distraction, it's a signal. And until you stop calling it a problem, you will never rise. Tell me the truth. What do you want that you've been too afraid to admit? Say it. Say it to yourself like a vow. You want to build. You want to create. You want to rise. You want to feel something again, something real, something yours. You want to break the pattern. You want to wake up proud. You want to matter not just to others, but to yourself. And that is not ego. That is your soul remembering who it is. But you've tried to bury it in logic, in shame, in the slow death of maybe later. You've starved your own hunger because they told you desire was dangerous. They were right. It is dangerous. It destroys the version of you that settles. It burns the bridges to your excuses. It devours the soft comfort of mediocrity. But here's the truth they never told you. What you desire most, that terrifying holy vision that keeps haunting you, is also what you were built to carry. And your hunger is the proof. You don't need motivation. You need a mirror. You need to see yourself as you were before the world taught you to forget. You were once a creature of fire, bold, unapologetic, hungry. You didn't dream with limits. You didn't ask for permission. You wanted everything, not out of greed, but out of remembrance. The child in you knew that hunger wasn't shameful, it was sacred. But then they taught you to shrink, to be realistic, to manage your expectations, to kill your dreams before they embarrassed you. And so you became careful, tame, silent. You wore your hunger like a hidden wound, smiled when you were starving, clapped for others while dying inside. But I see it, I hear it. That whisper under your breath that says, there has to be more. There is. But you will never touch it by playing dead. You don't find your future by taming your fire. You find it by feeding it. What you want wants you back. But it will not come to the version of you who pretends they don't want it. It will come to the one who dares to want without apology. Desire is the architect of reality. Everything you see was once a wild hunger inside someone who refused to die quietly. The temples, the cities, the books, the empires, the legends, all of them born in the womb of sacred hunger. So why not you? Why not now? Because here's the law. You will never outrun your hunger. You can only rise to meet it or rot beneath its weight. The life you crave is waiting on the other side of permission, and no one else will grant it. Only you. So say it with fire, I want more. I was built for more. I will not silence this hunger again. Desire is the beginning of all faith. Before you believe, you must want. Before you act, you must ache. Before you move, you must burn. The man with no hunger will never rise. But the one who embraces his desire as sacred, as holy, as proof of life cannot be stopped. So let me ask you one last time. Not the polite version, not the edited version, the real version. What do you want? To feel powerful in your own skin? To become wealthy without shame? To walk into rooms and never lower your voice again? To live a life your future self would kneel to thank you for? Then say it. Let it be ugly. Let it be wild. Let it be real. Because only real desire has the power to rewrite your fate. You are not here to manage your life. You are here to command it. And command begins with hunger. So stop praying for peace if you haven't yet obeyed your desire. Stop asking for clarity while silencing the fire. Stop pretending you don't want it. You do. Now act like it. Feed the vision. Speak the want. Move toward the fire. And when the voice of doubt returns, and it will, you speak back with the roar of your soul, this is my desire. This is my right. This is my time. And I will rise not because it's easy, but because I burn. This is where your resurrection begins. Not with strategy, not with approval, with wanting, so want louder. The fire has waited long enough. Now let it speak through you, let it build you, let it bless you, let it remake you, because sacred hunger never dies. It becomes. You've been taught to wait, to pray and pause, to hope but stay still. They told you faith was silence, that it meant surrender, that you could believe in something without moving toward it. They lied. Faith does not sit with folded hands. Faith wears boots. It walks when there is no road. It moves before the miracle. It steps into darkness with blood in its mouth and says, I believe not because I see, but because I decided. You've confused hoping with believing. Hope is soft. Faith is steel. Hope says, maybe it will happen. Faith says, it already has. I just haven't arrived yet. Hope keeps you warm. Faith makes you dangerous. Because the one who walks without proof cannot be controlled. They are free. And that kind of freedom terrifies the world. You keep waiting for signs, for clarity, for the clouds to part and the path to glow gold. But let me speak to you like a general now. The war for your life will not wait on your comfort. You must walk anyway. You must build anyway. You must rise while afraid and bleed forward. Because if you don't, if you keep kneeling to doubt, keep obeying the voice that says, wait until you're ready, you will miss your life. And here's the truth. No one told you. Faith is not belief in spite of fear. It's movement in the presence of fear. You think fear is a sign to stop? I tell you, it's a sign that you're near something sacred. Your doubt is not a warning, it's a threshold. And faith is what crosses it with fire. So rise, put on your boots, and walk like you've already won. Do you understand the power of invisible steps? Every legend you admire walked when no one clapped. They built when no one watched. They sacrificed in silence. And they kept walking not because they knew, but because they chose to know. That is faith. Faith is not comfort. Faith is not ease. Faith is the discipline to act as if the unseen is already real. Not once, not when it feels good, every day. Faith is brushing your teeth like a king when you have no crown. Faith is writing the book before a single reader cares. Faith is lifting weights while the world laughs at your weakness. Faith is waking up at dawn to serve a dream that hasn't smiled back yet, and still you walk. Because belief is not what you feel. It's what you repeat. Belief is built through action. The sword becomes sharp because it moves, the body becomes strong because it moves, and your soul becomes faithful because you move. Every time you choose action over doubt, you send a signal to the universe, I am no longer available for fear. And the universe responds. It bends. It opens. It delivers, but not to the beggar. It delivers to the builder, to the one who digs the well before the rain, to the one who prepares the table before the guests arrive, to the one who walks in boots of faith before the road is even real. You say you're tired, but you're not tired. You're unmoved. And the cure is movement, sacred, defiant, unreasonable movement. You don't need proof. You need to march. The difference between a lost man and a crowned one is not intelligence, not money, not luck, faith. The crowned man decided long before there was evidence. He put on his boots when everyone else was still sleeping. He bled in the dark and no one praised him. He kept walking not because he was sure, but because he was called. You are being called, not by me, not by some divine thunder, by your future self. He sees you. He's waiting for you. And he's whispering, get up, keep going, I'm already here. You want to meet him? Then walk toward him. Every day you sit still, he moves further away. But every step, every quiet act of unreasonable faith brings you closer to the throne that already bears your name. Do not let your doubt be louder than your destiny. Do not let your fear outwalk your fire. You were not built to be logical. You were built to be legendary. And legends don't wait for light. They become it. So lace your boots, stand in the silence, move without proof, and dare to say, I believe, so I walk. I don't wait. I don't beg. I don't ask for signs. I am the sign. And my footsteps are the prophecy. Because faith doesn't float. It marches. and now so will you. There is a voice that has followed you for years. It sounds like caution. It speaks like reason. It whispers like a friend. But it is not a friend. It is a thief. It steals your mornings. It steals your motion. It steals your memory of who you were before you were afraid. You call it fear, but it's not real. It's a projection. Fear is the liar that sits in the corner of your mind, pulling levers and casting shadows on the wall. And you've been worshiping those shadows like their truth. Let me expose it. Fear is not a prophecy. It's a memory dressed in disguise. It repeats what once hurt you. It replays what never worked. It reanimates ghosts you were never meant to carry. And because you see it clearly in your mind, you mistake it for intuition. But it is not intuition. It is infection. You were born clean, courageous, clear-eyed. You touched the world with both hands. You climbed. You ran. You believed. Then fear spoke, one word at a time, 1,000 small doubts, 1,000,000 imagined failures. And you mistook them for wisdom. But I've come to remind you, fear is not wisdom. It is a parasite. It cannot create, only interrupt. It has no vision. It only mocks yours. And every time you obey it, you hand your life to a ghost that cannot bleed. What if I told you, fear has never stopped anything? Not once. It never had arms. It never had a sword. It never had a lock to keep you from the door. All it had was your permission. Look back. Every moment you were afraid, truly afraid. Did the world collapse, or did you survive? You did. You bent, but you stood. You cracked, but you continued. You lived. So tell me, what exactly did fear protect you from? Discomfort? Embarrassment? Growth? You were never avoiding death. You were avoiding transformation. Because fear doesn't fear danger. It fears change. And so it builds illusions. It paints disaster on the canvas of your future. It edits your vision with trembling hands. But here's what fear cannot do. It cannot touch reality. It cannot step into the present. It cannot move. Only you can move. Only you can act. Only you decide if today becomes prophecy or prison. And the second you move toward what you fear, you realize it was never a wall, it was smoke. It only looked solid because you stood still. Fear has worn every costume. It's called itself perfection. It's called itself responsibility. It's even called itself love. But underneath always it is control. A desperate need to stay small, to stay hidden, to stay safe. And safety is the slowest kind of death. You're not here to be safe. You're here to be sovereign. And sovereignty begins when you stop negotiating with ghosts. You want to be free? Then drag fear into the light. Speak to it with fire in your voice. Say, I see you. You're not my intuition. You're not my protector. You're not my truth. You are the voice of my former self, and I no longer answer. Because here's the sacred truth. What you fear most is exactly where your power waits. And the moment you walk toward it, not even conquer it, just approach it, the illusion burns. And all that's left is freedom. So remember this, fear never had power, only the power you gave it. Now take it back. Walk through the smoke. Touch what you were told would destroy you. Look it in the eyes and smile. Because now you know fear is a lie. And you are no longer available for lies. There is a moment in every life when the soul draws a line, not in ink, not in speech, in fire. That line is called decision. And once it is drawn, nothing is the same again. Decision is not thought. It is not hope. It is not weighing options. Decision is divine violence against hesitation. It's the instant the man inside you says, enough, I will never go back. Not because it's safe, not because it's certain, but because your future demands it. You've danced with doubt long enough. You've kissed fear on the mouth and called it wisdom. You've entertained the lie that you still have time to decide. But I tell you now, indecision is death-wearing perfume. It seduces you with maybe. It comforts you with someday. It wraps its arms around your power until it suffocates, but not anymore. You are here to decide, And not just decide, but to burn the bridge back. Because real decision leaves ashes. It doesn't keep a backup plan. It doesn't flirt with the past. It slices the rope with its own hands and walks forward barefoot, if it must, bleeding if it must, but never turning around again. This is that moment. The sand is under your feet, your old life behind you. Your future silent, waiting, watching. So draw the line and become the one who never looked back. Decision is the sword. It is sharp. It is sacred. And it does not ask permission. You do not ease into destiny. You cut into it. Every man who became fire decided first. He did not wait until he was ready. He chose readiness. He did not wait until he had no fear. He cut through fear. And that's what you must do, because you've already seen what happens when you delay. You know what it costs to hesitate. You've lived it, the slow decay of maybe, the quiet rot of almost, the ache of a life unlived, and you're still breathing, which means it's not too late, but it is too urgent to wait. So I ask you now, not gently, but like a fire would ask a tree, will you burn for what's yours, or will you be buried with what could have been? Decision demands pain. It requires the death of the version of you who settles. It requires the sacrifice of comfort. It requires wounds. But the wound of decision becomes the scar of arrival. And I promise you, once you cross the line, once you truly choose, everything begins to obey you. The world bends to the man who no longer negotiates with doubt. Most men don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they leave the door open. They whisper the dream while keeping the job they hate. They say they want her while still texting the one before. They claim to be reborn but leave the coffin unsealed. But destiny does not come to the one who's still available to the old life. It comes to the one who burns the boat, breaks the gate, cuts the tie, and seals the vow with blood. So tell me, what are you still holding on to? What excuse still has a name in your mouth? What version of you is still waiting for approval? Slaughter it. Now, not with hatred, with honor. Because every old identity you bury becomes the root for the new you to rise. You were not made to straddle two worlds. You were made to choose. Fully, fiercely, finely. So draw the line, not in pencil, not in sand that can be swept away. Draw it in fire. Say, this is where I stop bleeding for the life I don't want. This is where I end the delay. This is where I become the one who doesn't go back. Not for safety, not for comfort, not even for love. I am decided, I am claimed, I am chosen by the future. I refuse to die without touching. Now walk, and never look over your shoulder again. They told you prayer was quiet. They told you it was kneeling. They told you it was soft words in soft places. But I tell you now, persistence is a prayer. And the warrior's prayer is not whispered, it's walked. Every step you take while bleeding, every motion you make while shaking, every day you rise with cracked bones and unfinished dreams is a sacred act. The gods don't hear what you say. They hear what you repeat. And when you move again and again and again, they take notice. Because persistence is not about winning. It's about not quitting when you've already been pierced. You think your struggle means you're failing. I tell you, it means you're fighting. You're in the arena. Your knuckles are scraped, but they still clench. Your vision is blurred, but you still see forward. That's what makes persistence holy. It's not pretty. It's not poetic. It's ragged breath and torn muscles. It's walking into another rejection. It's building when nothing is working and doing it again tomorrow. Most people stop because the pain comes. But pain was part of the process. It's not your enemy. It's your confirmation. It tells you that you're in the fire where transformation lives. You asked the universe for a new life, but you didn't expect it to test your devotion. That's what persistence is, devotion under pressure. The world bends for the man who doesn't stop. Not because he's gifted, not because he's lucky, but because he keeps showing up when lesser men fold. You don't need motivation. You need a ritual, a sacred rhythm of showing up as if your life depends on it, because it does. And hear me now, the ones you admire, the ones who made it, the ones who changed everything, they didn't float there. They crawled, they screamed, they got laughed at. They failed in public, and they kept going. That's what makes the throne worth sitting on. So let your persistence become your prayer. Let the repetition prove your belief. Let every sunrise see you moving. Let every doubt see you enduring. Let every obstacle witness the man who doesn't stop. And when the world asks, why are you still going? You look them dead in the eyes and say, because this is sacred, because I made a vow, because I don't need proof to continue, because I'm not here to try. I'm here to become. This is not about force. It's about faith in motion. And every time you move forward, even bleeding, you declare, I still believe. I still belong. I am still becoming. That's persistence. That's prayer. That's power. They told you discipline was punishment. They made it sound like a prison. They wrapped it in shame. And so you ran from it. But hear me now. Discipline is the highest form of self-respect. It is the sword you forged to protect the man you said you would become. Discipline is not rules. It's not suffering. It's remembrance. Every act of discipline is a message to yourself. I am who I say I am. Not when it's easy. Not when it's fun. When it's hard. The undisciplined quit not because they're weak, but because they've never met the part of themselves that keeps going when no one's watching. But you're meeting him now. The version of you that does not require motivation. The one who moves by vow. Discipline is not restriction. It's release. It cuts away the lie that says you are average. It silences the noise of the world by giving your soul orders. Discipline is the sword you carry when fear tries to make you slow. It's the armor you wear when distraction whispers its lullabies, and you must carry it daily. Sharpen it with repetition. Wield it with clarity, because the world will try to dull it. And if you drop your sword, you drop your crown. You don't find yourself in silence. You find yourself in structure. Discipline is how identity becomes visible. You want to know who you are? Don't ask your feelings, ask your ritual. What time do you rise? What do you protect with sacred intensity? What do you do when no one's watching? That's you. Not your goals, not your dreams, your decisions. Discipline is the daily signature on the future you claimed. It's not about perfection. It's about proof. Every rep, every word, every quiet repetition is a mirror. And when you look into that mirror long enough, you stop hoping to be someone else because you finally respect the man you see. You don't need to love the process. You need to honor it, because the process is the priest, and your consistency is the offering. You think discipline is hard? Try living without it. Try waking up every day with nothing solid in your soul. Try chasing greatness while answering to your moods. Discipline is not what makes life heavy. It's what makes life yours. And once you taste it, real discipline, honest, sacred, blood-built discipline, you will never again envy the undisciplined, because you'll see what they never do. They don't lack talent. They lack ritual. Discipline doesn't happen once. It happens daily. It's not a burst, it's a blade. And you sharpen it every time you act without asking how you feel, because feelings are weather. Discipline is weatherproof. The undisciplined are ruled by impulse. But the man with discipline moves like a storm, predictable, focused, unstoppable. Discipline is not something you do, it's someone you become. And once you become that man, the one who says, I do it anyway, you earn something no one can give you, self-trust. And self-trust is the foundation of everything. Without discipline, your dreams are noise. With it, they become orders. So from this day forward, when your mind screams quit, you respond with the blade, I keep going. Not because it's easy, not because I'm excited, because I remember who I am and I made a vow. And vows are not moods. They are weapons. So carry yours with honor. Let your repetition roar louder than your resistance. Let your schedule become sacred. Let your rituals speak louder than your excuses. Because this world does not belong to the talented. It belongs to the disciplined, the ones who train through silence, who wake through fatigue, who walk through resistance like kings through battlefields. So pick up your sword. Your life is waiting, and it will not follow a man who refuses to lead himself. A king with no counsel is not a king. He is a prisoner of his own mind. A builder without brothers bleeds alone. You were not designed to do this by yourself. Even your vision, clear as it may seem, was never meant to be carried in solitude. This world will feed you the myth of isolation. It will celebrate the lone wolf, the solo genius, the man who needed no one. But that story is poison. Because power multiplies in presence, and the greatest strength of a man is not in how much he can carry alone, but in who he aligns with. You are one mind, sharp, determined. But one mind can only see one angle. One voice can only echo so far. But 2, 3, a circle of fire-forged men, that's not noise, that's revolution. This is the sacred law of the mastermind. When 2 or more minds align around a single purpose, they form a third. Invisible force, a higher intelligence that makes miracles mechanical. You were not made to walk alone, you were made to throne together. So who surrounds you? Do they sharpen you? Do they call you forward? Do they speak as kings or crawl as victims? Because your circle is not a decoration, it's your destiny, and the wrong circle can silence your crown. There is a law older than any book, older than empires, a law that built every throne you admire. It is this: power multiplies when minds unite under purpose. Not just bodies in the room, not just chatter, but alignment. Men who see what you see, or better yet, men who see what you've missed. The mastermind is not about comfort. It's about consequence. It's about stepping into a space where your excuses burn and your potential is demanded. You don't grow by being the strongest in the room. You grow by bleeding next to giants, by sitting at the table with men who call out your slowness, by being held to the vow you made when you were still on fire. This is not about friendship, it's about friction, about mirrors, not praise. Because the truth is, you already know what to do. But without the mastermind, your wisdom stays theoretical, your fire stays caged, your greatness stays comfortable. But when you sit with warriors, when you align with builders, when you join forces with men who carry swords of their own, something else enters the room, the third mind, that invisible throne that sits above the table. It is not one of you, it is all of you, together, aligned, awake, and it begins to whisper solutions you never saw, ideas you never owned, paths you could not walk alone. You are not weak for needing alliance. You are wise. Even kings bow to counsel. Even fire spreads faster when it touches more wood. Even legends are assembled. So if you've been suffering in silence, thinking no one understands, thinking you have to figure it all out, thinking you must carry the kingdom alone, hear me now. That voice is the voice of the orphan self. The self who has not yet sat at the mastermind throne. And today that ends. Today you stop asking, how do I do this alone? And start asking, who must I build with? Because the most dangerous thing you can do is climb alone, only to realize there is no kingdom waiting at the top. The throne is not a chair. It is a circle. So call in your counsel, not just men who cheer you, men who challenge you, men who see your future and require you to reach it, men who sharpen you not with flattery but with fire. Build the unseen throne, one mind at a time, one vow at a time, until you are no longer a man with a dream but a force with allies. That is the mastermind. That is how kings rise, and that is the only way forward, because alone you can walk fast, but together you can walk through walls. Now rise, not by yourself, but with your counsel, your allies, your throne, and let the world feel what it's like when awakened minds begin to multiply. Every day a voice speaks inside you, not loudly, not always with words, but it shapes everything. You feel it when you wake up. You feel it before you try. You feel it when you stand at the edge of becoming. And if that voice says, I can't, you won't. If it says, this isn't me, you'll never move. If it says, nothing ever works for people like me, then nothing will. Not because it's true, but because you agreed. That voice isn't random. It's a script, built from repetition, constructed from everything you've heard, absorbed and silently repeated for years. But here's the sacred truth. You can rewire that voice. You can make it obey. You can rewrite the prophecy inside your own head. That is the power of auto-suggestion. It is not hype. It is not chanting fake affirmations in the mirror. It is sacred reprogramming. It is the conscious, consistent rewriting of the internal command center. Autosuggestion is how you become your own prophet, not by magic, by message. Because your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is repeated with belief. And right now, you're already using autosuggestion against yourself. So let's flip the weapon. Understand this. Every word you speak to yourself is a spell, and most people are cursed by the words they didn't even mean. You tell yourself, I'm not that guy. I never finish things. This always happens to me. And your subconscious says, yes, sir, as you wish. Let me keep proving that true. You've built a fortress of identity from bricks you didn't even choose. But now it's time to choose on purpose. Autosuggestion means you design the inner broadcast. You program the voice. You tell the subconscious, this is who I am now. This is what I do. This is what I believe. And when you say it long enough, with energy, with emotion, with ritual, your subconscious starts rearranging the world to match. This is not theory. This is mechanical law. The world outside will never disobey the world you've built inside. So if you want different results, you don't need more information. You need a new identity, one that repeats a different message. Say it every day. I am the man who finishes. I am the man who builds. I am the man who walks into fire and walks out crowned. Say it until the doubt gets embarrassed. Say it until the voice inside bows to the new you. Because once the inner voice shifts, your life has no choice but to follow. You are not a victim of your mind, you are its master. But masters don't beg for change, they train it. That's what autosuggestion truly is, mental training for spiritual command. You don't speak once and expect rebirth. You speak daily. You repeat with rhythm. You hammer the truth into your mind until it echoes louder than fear. Wake up and speak. Before doubt can enter the room, you enter first with declaration. Write it. Say it aloud. Record it and play it while you sleep. Whisper it while you walk. Burn it into your bones. Because every time you repeat it, you lay another stone on the new self. And that self is waiting to be built. You say you want confidence? Speak it. You say you want wealth? Declare it. You say you want power, peace, passion? Then program it. Because nothing outside you can rise until something inside you decides. Autosuggestion is not superstition. It's sovereignty. You are the author now. You are the voice. You are the script. And you are the proof. So write the prophecy you've been waiting to hear. Speak it like your life depends on it, because it does. And let the world kneel to the man whose inner voice no longer wavers. Because the moment you master that voice, you never have to wait on external permission again. You're not hoping anymore. You're not begging. You're not wondering who you are. You know, and you say it, and you become it. There is a voice inside you older than your name. It does not shout. It does not argue. It does not demand. It waits. And when you are still enough, quiet enough, clear enough, it speaks. That voice is your sixth sense, the divine compass, the knowing that needs no explanation, the whisper that cuts through the fog and points forward, even when the path hasn't yet been built. But you haven't heard it lately, have you? You've mistaken its silence for absence. You think you've lost your gift. You wonder if your instincts are broken. But let me tell you the truth. The signal is still there. You've just buried it beneath the screams of your fear. Because the sixth sense does not fight for attention. It is not the voice of panic. It does not match your chaos. It waits for stillness, and only then does it appear. This is why your guidance feels gone when you need it most. Not because it's gone, but because you're too loud inside to hear it. Fear is noise. Intuition is signal. And if you want to hear that higher voice again, you must silence the storm you've mistaken for thought. You don't need more advice. You don't need another opinion. You need to listen to what's already speaking inside you once you turn down the volume of fear. The world has trained you to panic, to run the moment uncertainty arrives, to analyze, compare, and scramble for control. But panic is a parasite. It feeds on motion. It grows stronger the more you chase solutions in circles. And it kills your intuition. Because intuition does not live in the mind, it lives beneath it. It is the deep divine instinct that already knows. Not through logic, but through alignment. To hear it, you must enter the place beyond thought, where the body softens, where the breath slows, where the fear is told. You are not the master anymore. That silence, the one you avoid, is not emptiness, it's a portal. And when you finally stand in it, naked and quiet and real, you will hear the thing you've been begging others to tell you. The truth. Not the world's truth. Your truth. The one your bones already knew, but your fear refused to admit. That's why the sixth sense isn't loud. Because truth doesn't need volume. It needs space. And that space must be earned through stillness, through faith, through the sacred decision to stop outsourcing your knowing and return to the voice you were born with. You've had the compass all along. You just never stopped running long enough to hold it steady. There will come a moment in your becoming when no one can tell you what to do. No map, no mentor, no blueprint. Only silence. Only you. And in that moment, the old you will panic. He'll scream for data. He'll reach for distraction. He'll ask the world to vote on his next step. But the new you, the sovereign, you will know exactly what to do. He will listen. He will trust the whisper. He will walk without noise. Because when the sixth sense speaks, it speaks in knowing, in stillness, in certainty, without proof. It won't explain. It won't debate. It will say, go, and you will. Not because it makes sense to others, but because it feels like alignment to your soul. And once you obey that voice, something divine happens. The path appears beneath your feet. The people arrive. The timing works. The door opens. Because the universe responds not to fear, but to alignment. You become the signal. Your life becomes so clean, so quiet, so tuned into your inner knowing that the outside world bends in response. Not because you forced it, but because you matched it. This is the true power. Not the loudest man in the room, but the clearest one. So let the fear fall away. Let the noise collapse. Let the old reflex to run dissolve in silence. And in that sacred stillness, return to the voice that never left you. The voice that knows. The voice that leads. The voice that built you for this exact path. Now walk it. Not with panic. Not with proof. With trust. Because the sixth sense only speaks when fear goes silent, and today you finally listened. They told you to chase success, to hunt it, to break yourself for it, to measure your worth by it. And so you ran, chasing the number, chasing the recognition, chasing the throne, even if it cost you your soul. But hear me now. Success is not something you catch. It's something you attract. It is the shadow of who you become, not the proof of what you've pursued. And shadows don't appear when you chase them. They appear when you stand in the light. You've been sprinting toward results because you thought results would heal you. You thought applause would give you identity. You thought money would fill the hole. But none of it will. Because until you master yourself, you will only be temporarily rich, temporarily praised, temporarily powerful, and eternally lost. Success is not the reward. Self-mastery is. And when you master the self, your thoughts, your discipline, your emotions, your vision, then success follows you like a shadow follows the sun. You don't chase the shadow, you become the light. You are not chasing goals. You are shaping a king. And a king who cannot rule himself has no business ruling anything else. Self-mastery is not perfection, it is presence. It is knowing your own mind so deeply that no failure shakes you. No success inflates you. No outside noise confuses you. When you become that rooted, real, immovable, you stop chasing power because you are power. You think success is money. It isn't. Money is a mirror. It reflects how much value you've created and how deeply you've believed in your own worth. You think success is influence. It isn't. Influence is the side effect of truth lived out loud. You think success is legacy. But legacy is not built by trying to be remembered. It's built by mastering the moments no one sees. It's built in the silence, in the rituals, in the choices you make when no one's watching, especially when quitting is convenient. So stop sprinting toward a finish line and start standing in your own fire. Because the man who builds himself cannot be stopped, and eventually success must come. Not because you forced it, but because it has no choice. There is a version of you that success cannot ignore, not because he is loud, not because he is perfect, but because he has become inevitable. That version of you does not hustle for validation. He does not compete for crumbs. He does not confuse movement for meaning. He rises early because he respects the day. He moves with precision because he's trained for war. He speaks with clarity because he knows who he is. He does not chase. He builds. He sharpens. He expands. And then success follows. Because success, true success, cannot disobey alignment. When your mind, your actions, your soul, your energy, your habits, your voice, your identity, when they all agree, you create a gravitational pull. And everything you once begged for now asks to sit at your table. This is the irony. You get everything you thought you wanted the moment you stop needing it to feel whole. So be whole now. Be disciplined now. Be focused now. Be humble, sharp, deliberate, exact now. And let success chase you. Let it follow your shadow like the sun follows truth. Let it be drawn to your silence, your power, your presence, because in the end, you were never meant to chase greatness. You were meant to embody it. And when you do, not through pretending, but through becoming, success will arrive. Right on time, right behind you, a shadow, obedient, unshakable. Now walk forward, not for glory, not for applause, not for outcome. Walk forward because you are the sun now, and your shadow knows exactly where to follow. You came here to be told what you already knew. You listened not because you were weak, but because something in you was waking. Every word I spoke, you didn't hear it with your ears. You heard it with your remembrance, the memory of who you are, the fire that's always been sleeping just beneath your ribs, the part of you that was never afraid, only waiting, and now the wait is over. You've sat with me in silence. You've walked through the laws. You've felt the weight of truth. And you've seen what happens when a man finally meets the version of himself he cannot run from. So now you walk alone, not because you're abandoned, but because you're equipped. Not because the voice goes silent, but because the voice has moved inside you. I am no longer outside you. I am within. Your breath, your decisions, your rhythm, your system. Every step you take now is a continuation of the vow we made together. You will not die with your fire still locked in your bones. This is your final right, not to prove anything, not to perform, but to become. You are the system now, the signal, the sword, the flame. So rise and walk not in search of answers, but as the answer itself. You've been waiting for permission from life, from the world, from your past, from the wounds that told you to be small. But here's what I need you to understand, that permission was always yours to give. No one is coming, no final sign, no applause, no miracle that removes the need for faith, because the final miracle is you. You with nothing left to chase. You with no one left to blame. You standing in the mirror with fire behind your eyes and silence behind your name. This is the part most men fear. The solitude, the weight of knowing there is no longer a Savior to call, only sovereignty. And sovereignty is heavy, but it is holy. Because once you accept that there is no system outside you greater than the one inside, you become untouchable. Not perfect, but principled. Your life is no longer a reaction. It is now commanded. You've listened long enough. You've studied long enough. You've prepared long enough. Now it is time to walk like a man who remembers, I was never meant to follow the voice. I was meant to become it. So become it, not in volume, in vibration. Let the way you move through the world be the sermon. Let your stillness speak louder than ambition. Let your mastery be the message. You no longer need approval. You need only to stand. And when you stand, everything that once ran from you will begin to return, not because you chased it, but because you became undeniable. There is a moment after transformation where no one claps, no music plays, no audience waits. There is only you in a quiet room, lacing your boots, fixing your eyes, and choosing to rise again. That's the moment that separates the legend from the loud, the master from the mimic, the king from the crowd, and that's where you are now. So hear me clearly. The fire has been transferred. The code is inside you. The voice is now yours to carry. No more asking, what should I do? You know, no more whispering, am I ready? You are. No more doubting if you belong. You built the throne you now sit on. Let every step forward be a ritual. Let every sunrise be a reminder I no longer walk for proof. I walk because I've already decided who I am. You don't owe the world an explanation. You don't owe your past a memorial. You only owe your future one thing, your presence, fully now. So walk, not behind anyone, not for anyone, not to catch up, not to be seen. Walk like the mountain now moves beneath you. Walk like every breath is strategy. Every silence is power. Every decision is prophecy. Because it is. This is the part where I say goodbye. But you say nothing. Because there's no need to speak when your very existence now declares, I am the fire. I am the system. I am the storm. And I walk alone, not to escape, but to arrive.